Alright guys, welcome back. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you guys a few games on how the deck is meant to function. If you watch the profile, if you haven't yet, put a little quick note. But I guess I'll just update it now. It's just updated, so I guess no point in watching that video. But if you want to see like the actual live cards, you can watch that video. But in the previous one, you saw that I'm playing this. I'm playing Omega and the crystal wing. But in the newer build, which is now, I ended up cutting it because I felt like I needed to go into Obabinia and the other guy, the one that requires 3 and pops each player's turn if he had a trap underneath it. Yeah, I felt like I needed that more, so I ended up cutting those two and putting those in, and it just flows much better. And I just quickly want to show you guys what Ryko's meant to do. Like, it might seem slow, but if you think about it, it's pretty much a trap. If you think about it, let's say you set Ryko in set 4, essentially you're setting 5 traps because you're setting a card, and if it's flipped, then you can pop a card and mill 3. Essentially, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Of course, it's a monster technically. Well, not technically, it is a monster. And so just adding an element, it just adds either more pressure if they don't get rid of it, or they have to go play around it, and that just makes a dynamic on their turn a little bit more, I guess, not as easy, because like unless they can deal with it like effortlessly, then of course then there's nothing you can do about that. But the fact that they have to play around it like a trap is the main key point of it, and that makes a big difference. At first I was like, like in hindsight, it seems too slow, it's a monster. But it's not any different from sending a dupe. I mean, of course, dupes get you the swap frog, but essentially Ryko it's essentially a trap. Because like, does that make sense? I think hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, and plus opening up the charge. Oh, I love opening up charge. Like if I open up charge and like swap in a Ronin or swap in a any water, that gives me a set Ryko and a totally, like, it's so cool. So if you want to look at it that way, I guess that's the most the most proper way to look at it. Because like this is pretty much like, okay, this is what I mean. Like opening up a swap and opening a toad, because essentially you're setting 2 traps pretty much. Except that this is a monster, like I said. But still, like, oh man, I just like Ryko. The fact that it doesn't target is huge. Like so many things were like last trends that have been going so far that you can't target cards. So it's like, oh, like, it's a good thing that damn Ryko doesn't target anymore. So that's a big difference. And the fact that it can mill like all your frogs or your traps, and oh, there's some plays where I like to do where you bring back Ogre, like Ghost Ogre with back to the front. Oh, there's some really cool plays with that. I really like that. Back to the front is like pretty versatile, given the scenario. Because there's a time where I think it's the next game. I'm gonna show you guys that you can do it. It's pretty insane. Like, you see what I mean? Because like if you think about it, back to the front can turn into an Ogre pretty much, or another Toad on its own, or just bring back a frog as a block, chain your Paleo, and it just has so much. Oh, what's the word? I'm thinking. What's the word? What is the word? Like, okay, this is where look how cool this is. I freaking love this. Look at that. Like, you can just do that. Okay, go. And this is like the main issue why Paleo loses to Pendulum, because of this damn trap. And I had like a few more games with this, and I noticed that like if you get rid of the advantage thing, like if you get rid of the continuous spell, compared to getting rid of the scales, sometimes it pays off because like they don't accumulate all this resources. Hang on, let me put that clip. Okay, so you heard this. Okay, so pretty much, if you haven't seen the video before, I cut Soul Charge, I cut the Border Wipes, I cut False Burial, I cut the tunings. Because I want to maximize on milling actually what I want to mill, which is this. Like if I mill this, like, oh, I don't hate that. Like if I mill Ogre, it's not too bad because I can bring it back back to the front. And Soul Charge, same thing. It's a hopeful scenario that I want it to be in, where I could open up this or like top deck it, and like, you know, so I was like, oh, that's something I want to happen. That's something that I need to happen. So of course it's amazing if it does and when it does happen. But I felt like I could cut it. So the most I got that was just -4 cards. 4-6 makes a big difference because you hit a lot of things you actually want to mill. And so yeah, and I cut it. I cut the tunings as well because I felt like I was opening up like this on a tuning, or like it kept opening multiple this. I did not want to do that. I want to like have it as an option, but not necessarily have to like have it. You know, does that make sense? It's an essential within the deck for like nostalgic purposes, because that's all it is for. You don't have to play this. It's just something that for synchro lovers like me, synchro is my favorite mechanic, my favorite summoning mechanic. So I want to incorporate synchro as much as I can while keeping it a borderline meta. Otherwise, like, they just go like casual, and that's what you do. I mean, of course, there's nothing wrong playing casual, but like if you want to actually play competitively and have a chance to compete, then that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, like, you can cut this. You don't have to play it if you don't play. If you you know, just the nostalgic purposes. And ogre, oh, this like, dude, somebody can play this ogre. The fact that you bring it back, because I was juggling back and forth whether to play this or main deck this, and I felt like this is, I just had much more synergy with the deck in general. And then your frogs, your Ryko. Like I said, Ryko is pretty much essentially a trap. Of course, technically it's a monster. Well, not technically, because it is a monster. But like, you know what I mean? Like, if you set, like, let's say you open up Ryko, or let's say you open up charge, right? You mill like a bunch of Paleo and your frog, right? Okay, you search it, set. You set 4 and you set Ryko. It's pretty much, Ryko's a trap, because if it gets flipped, it's gonna activate. Same thing with this. Of course, it's not as reactive as an actual trap. But you get, does that make sense? It's pretty much like a trap if you think about it that way. Because sometimes it might seem like it's a little slow, but if you think about it, you're just setting more traps. That's what Paleo essentially does. And I like the fact that it doesn't target. Oh my god, it's amazing. And then Maxi. Oh, and then the Cosmics. You need to main deck Cosmics, because right now Pendulum Magicians are huge, and it's like one of the top decks that are people just gravitating to ever since Spiral got hit. Some Spiral's still there, but the fact that you lose to that trap, oh my god, you gotta get rid of that trap, otherwise you just gonna be blown out of the water. Okay, so like normally what you do is you set your back row, you keep this in hand, and you pass. That's assuming they went first and they have the trap. You keep this in your hand, and then they either use it, and then you chain your Cosmic, or they don't use it, and then that makes all this live, and then you can chain after that. So that's pretty much the why it's here, because you don't want to lose to that scenario. It's so annoying. It's not so bad either, because a lot of things are reliant on like scales, or reliant on field spells. So having this in the main deck is not too bad, especially when you have like this opening up like multiple sequences of having disruption with this disruption. Like that's what I like about ogre as well. You can combo them off with ogre strike, ogre all the noise, ogre breakthrough skill, ogre. Does that make sense? Like, having them in sequence manipulates the result and the end board, or the end turn of what your opponent's gonna end with. And that's, manipulation is huge in Yu-Gi-Oh, because that determines how how the momentum shifts. Does that make sense? So I really like that about that. And then you have your standard this Paleo, and then you strikes, and then you have your I love this card. This card is amazing. Okay, so who was it? I can't remember. One of you was asking whether or not I play Marilla, and because I'm playing 6 of these. Like, typically for a pure Paleo deck, you play Marilla because they lack monsters, so they want to up the Paleo count, because that essentially becomes monsters to keep pushing totally as fast as you possibly can. Whereas this deck has so much monsters, and I did not want to open up with like Marilla, like set Ryko, like it's just, I want to have an actual reaction, an actual response, compared to having a Marilla for setup. Does that make sense? Because that's essentially what Marilla does. It sets you up, and it gives you totally much faster. But that's pretty much what it is. And then yeah, like I said, I cut Omega and I cut Crystal Wing. So I felt like I needed these two much more. So this guy's amazing, dude. This guy's, I love this guy. Like I don't know. At first I was like, not so good. The fact that he requires 3, but dude, it's just amazing when you make it. There's a time when I made him with 5 materials, dude. I was like, oh my god, Tricky, huge. But that only happened once, so and that was a really bad game. So there's no point to play that game up. But anyways, and then Papini, of course. And then 3-Toad is just amazing. 3-Man Starboy is amazing as well. And then this is the essential cards that you need. This is debatable, but I like the fact that you can bring it back, and you can make like a Trish and a Black Horse play on their turn, which is amazing. And then you have a Chambara, Catastor, Armades, and then I like this card. This card, it's freaking proven itself so much already that I was doubting it at first, but oh my god, it's used amazing. Black Horse Trish, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'm working on Synchro. It's just hard, like I said, it's just so difficult so difficult to try and attempt because everything that's going on right now, it's just it's so much disruption. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Hopefully enjoy the video, and thanks for watching.